Three of the most well-known electric car manufacturers are BYD, Tesla, and Volkswagen. Let's compare their electric vehicle sales over the first 6 months of this year to have a look how they're going in the quest to become the world's largest electric vehicle manufacturer. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. Thank you for subscribing and supporting the channel. Now just remember, the world actually got better this week. More EVs were likely sold this week than what were any other week in the history of mankind. And that is something to celebrate. Now let's add to that probably more wind turbines and more solar panels were installed over the past week than any other week in history. Means, well, we've got three different things going on that make the world a better place. So, Volkswagen, how are they going in their quest to catch Tesla? Now, Volkswagen CEO Herbert Diess said it would be impossible for Volkswagen to catch Tesla until about 2026. But he's since backtracked on that. And Bloomberg NEF have claimed, right, that Volkswagen will in fact catch Tesla in 2024. However, if we have a look at their EV sales this year, the gap is actually widening between the two. Doesn't appear to be closing. Let's have a look at the numbers. Volkswagen delivered 217,000 electric cars in the first half of this year. That's an increase of 27% year over year. For the first half of 2021, Volkswagen delivered 171,000 electric vehicles. Now, because Volkswagen's internal combustion engine vehicle sales have decreased pretty significantly this year, that means Volkswagen's percentage of vehicles sold that were EVs significantly grew this year versus last year. For the first 6 months of this year, Volkswagen's EV percentage was 5.6%. That's up from 3.4% for the first half of last year. Volkswagen said this: "We successfully continued our electric ramp up despite challenging conditions, especially in the second quarter. Demand continues to be strong and we expect an improving supply situation in the second half of the year." Now, China is currently a big problem for Volkswagen. Now saying that, Volkswagen's vehicle deliveries in China have gone down significantly this year, as have every other legacy automotive company's sales in China. But the EV sales have in fact increased pretty significantly. China was Volkswagen's main growth driver in the first half of 2022 with 63,500 electric vehicles sold. That's a pretty big proportion of the tally, right? That's more than 25% of their total EV deliveries so far this year. According to Volkswagen, China increased sales threefold of EVs compared to the first half of last year. Volkswagen's electric vehicle sales in Europe were 128,000 over the first half of the year. So this means that Volkswagen's European deliveries made up 59% of sales in the first half of 2022, while its 63,500 deliveries in China made up 29% of electric vehicle sales. The USA came in third place with 8% of Volkswagen's electric vehicle sales, with only 17,000 EVs sold in the United States. Is that due to demand in the US? No, obviously not. There's a lot more demand in the US. Volkswagen is just not delivering EVs to the US because the US doesn't punish them for emitting carbons into the atmosphere. So therefore, obviously Volkswagen is prioritizing the two countries where they get fined if they produce too many emissions, which is Europe and China, well, the two continents anyway. Now, for context, there's a number of brands sold under the Volkswagen hat. So those EVs sold might not necessarily have been branded Volkswagen, but they'd be owned by the parent company. Those brands, of course, include Audi, Skoda, Seat, Porsche, Bugatti, and Bentley. Now let's have a look at BYD's sales for the first half of this year. So far this year, BYD sold 638,000 plug-in cars. But the media has been reporting this in a bit of an unusual way, and they seem to be supported by many people who I think are in denial. Why do they say that? Well, people are claiming that plug-in hybrids are EVs. It's just like, sure, if you want to call it that, that's fine. But frankly, I think that's confusing. It's just confusing because realistically, when the average person says, "Do you have an electric car?" They're not asking you, do you have a plug-in hybrid? They're asking you, do you have a Tesla? Do you have a fully electric car? So it's a bit confusing. For these purposes of this video, I'm only looking at purely electric cars. So therefore, that 638,000 number decreases down to 323,500. So far in the first half of this year, BYD delivered 323,500 electric cars. The majority of those were in China, but a number of those were in other countries around the world as well. And obviously, in the second half of this year, we're going to see a lot more electric vehicle sales from BYD in other countries outside of China. So, of course, now we've got Volkswagen's figure, 217,000. BYD's figure, 323,500. So, Tesla sold, well, at least Tesla delivered 3 times as many EVs, in fact, a little bit more than 3 times as many EVs for the first half of this year versus Volkswagen. And they delivered 240,000 more electric vehicles than BYD did. Now, BYD, there's some reports, there's some rumors that they may be able to produce more than 150,000 electric vehicles per month, starting from next month, starting from August until the end of this year. We don't know if this is true. They're unconfirmed rumors. So, don't write me off and say I'm telling you these terrible things, because I'm telling you now they're rumors. But there are quite a few of them coming from the Chinese media, and they are backed up by the fact that BYD has been building factories at a rapid rate and has just opened new electric vehicle factories in China. So it is feasibly possible. Will it happen? I think it's unlikely. I think it's more likely to be around about 100,000 electric vehicles on average per year for the remainder of this year, meaning likely BYD will hit around 1 million electric vehicle deliveries for the entirety of this year. Obviously, Tesla have already delivered 564,000. I believe they'll deliver about another 850,000 over the course of this year, meaning they'll hit nearly 1.4 million by the end of the year and be approximately ahead of BYD by about 400,000 vehicles. What about Volkswagen? Volkswagen actually are ramping up their electric vehicle production capacity as well, both in China, in Europe, and in the United States. And I think they'll probably deliver around an additional 350,000 electric cars over the second half of this year worldwide, meaning they'll deliver around 570,000 EVs over the entirety of 2022. As you can see, that would mean Tesla would still have an enormous lead of nearly 1 million electric vehicle sales versus Volkswagen by the end of the year. Now, these are my theoretical numbers, but I think they're based on some pretty well-supportive, substantiated facts, which I've mentioned those facts in numerous videos over the last month, over the last 2 months, over the last 3 months. As you know, I do around 6 or 7 videos per day, and often I present you with details and data showing month-by-month sales, and I compare those. I look at the factories, what those factories are producing, what they're capable of doing. So my numbers are pretty likely to be fairly consistently correct within, the scope of 5, 10, 15%. By the end of this year, predictions are Tesla will still be in first place, BYD second still, Volkswagen third, Tesla 1.4 million electric vehicle deliveries, BYD 1 million, and Volkswagen 570,000. As you can see, it's not all that likely that Volkswagen will beat Tesla in 2024. Could it happen subsequently in further years? Yes, of course, anything's possible. Will it happen in 2024? Extremely unlikely. On the other hand, will BYD surpass Tesla in 2024 when it comes to purely electric cars? That is entirely possible. Thank you for watching. Let me know what your opinion is on this in the comment section below. But do you agree, disagree? Do you think Tesla will be in first place by 2025? Or will it be BYD or someone else?